and she's going to share some stories and ways in which our Student Success Center will support you on your journey to academic success.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pearl. I really appreciate you sharing more about the upcoming semester and what that will look like for our students. So first, I'd like to start with a few stories about our students here on the Hilltop. As Dr. Pearl mentioned, St. Edward's students reach for the highest levels in career and life. They're problem solvers, justice seekers, and innovators. And we like to celebrate their successes with them every step of the way. So I'd like to begin by talking about Amy Truong, who is now a recent graduate with a degree in graphic design. But here are her own words about her time as a student. I started taking computer science classes to expand my skills my sophomore year. I was really unsure of myself at first because it didn't come naturally to me. But my graphic design professor, Jimmy Liu, had started a mentorship program with Fjord, a design and interactive studio here in Austin. I was matched with a Fjord mentor, a St. Edward's alumna, who connected me with computer science professionals in her office, and they encouraged me to keep going. They told me having those skills would help me communicate with the programmers I'll work with, because I know both the creative and technical sides of a project. So I stuck with it, and now I've decided to pursue a career in interactive design. Then we have another recent graduate, Joseph Ramirez. Here are his words about how his path to success evolved over his time as a student. I started at St. Edward's in the pre-med track, but I had opportunities that helped me realize the analytical thinking I was developing in biology could be applied to business. Through the School of Natural Sciences, I got a seat at Capital Factory, which is an Austin-based accelerator for tech startups, where I worked on a startup to help undocumented students. Right now, I'm working for an international consulting management firm focusing on data analytics, and I've found that the mindset of biology is directly transferable to my work. My freshman year, I did biomedical research with one of my professors, and we would always ask ourselves, why are we taking this approach? Why are we looking at this data set? Could we drill down or look at it from a higher level? That approach of constantly asking why is as useful in business as in science. At St. Edward's, we know that there is more than one track to success and that it looks different for every student. It includes the end goal, but it also includes transformative experiences from research opportunities to mentorships and everything in between. On the next slide, you'll see that the value of a liberal arts education really sets the foundation for our students to be prepared for their unique path to success. It shapes the student's experience from learning to write well to solve complex problems. And as Dr. Pearl mentioned, there really is no better time in history to have a liberal arts degree. Your student can truly do anything with their degree. Students take classes from across majors to graduate as well-rounded thinkers who have the soft, transferable skills that employers are looking for. As you can see, almost 80% of employers agree that liberal arts knowledge is important for students with any major. To demonstrate what sets a liberal arts education apart, our general education curriculum is closely linked to valuable skills. Students of all majors complete the general education curriculum, which really cultivates an education of both the mind and the heart. These learning outcomes, shown in the light blue column to the left, are especially critical during today's unprecedented environment. Complex problems require complex solutions, and our students have a solid foundation to face these challenges. We also recognize that there are a variety of transformative experiences that students have on the Hilltop that contribute to these skills, like career development and international experiences. And recognizing that, on the next slide, you'll see that we take a team approach to student success. We look at the whole student and support them in the ways that they need, inside and outside of the classroom. Success teams are comprised of faculty and staff across departments and divisions who collaborate as part of our tight-knit community. This collaboration creates highly personalized experiences for each student that prepare them for meaningful careers and lives. And of course, as we talk about student success on the Hilltop, it just makes sense for you all to hear from a success coach. So two of our success coaches, Kelsey and Roel, are going to tell us more about the role of success coaches and how one-on-one coaching contributes to this approach. Roel?
Thank you, Kendall. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking some time to pop in here today, y'all. My name is Roel Martinez. I'm a success coach and associate director for the Behavioral and Social Sciences. And it's a joy to work with students 18, 20, 21, 32. And what we do here, as Dr. Prahl and Kendall have mentioned, we educate both the mind and the heart. And quite often a student comes in and they say, Roel, what I want to do is help people. They all want to help people. And that's what it boils down to. And whether they are a theater major or a biologist, or they're going into the medical profession or into law, at the heart of it, it's more than just what they're learning. It's how they're going to apply that knowledge later on, and kind of execute that goal of making change. And as Dr. Prahl mentioned, being a difference maker. And so how they apply that knowledge is vital. And we partner with them side by side for 4 years, for life, right? So that they can get that foundation and really understand, what is it that I'm doing and why is it that I'm doing it? And that's transformational. And along those 4 years, we connect them with opportunities in career, with internships, and we encourage them to lean into their relationships with their faculty, because that is a tremendous relationship that is built so that they can have conversations about ethics and law. They can have conversations with their professors about the research that they're doing, which is a phenomenal opportunity, and that's really exciting for students. And that's what we mean by transformational. They lean into those opportunities, into their community, into conversations with their classmates, and we help guide them into those decisions. So they might come in and talk about their classes, but we might ask, how are the conversations going in your class or with that student program that you joined? And consequently, that is what makes a holistic education. And so by the time they make it to senior year and they're working on that internship or that final project, it all kind of culminates into this extremely purposeful, beautiful thing, right? And it's really cool to partner with them in that process. So as we transition to the next slide, I think a very natural question is, well, what is a success coach and what does that look like in terms of guidance? You could think of us as a co-pilot. We are certainly not in the driver's seat, and we do not have the steering wheel. But we will tell the student, why don't you consider taking that right turn to that internship? I know you've never been to this particular location, but I would encourage you to communicate with your professor about that question that you have. And so they're the boss, they're the CEO, and we meet with lots of them every year. But at the end of the day, it's their decision, and we provide them the advice to make that decision as it evolves. And it does evolve every year, which is why it's a roadmap. But we work with them side by side, and every time that they change it or evolve it, we ask, well, why New York, for example? Let's look into that. And so we design those steps together, and as they continue to refine what they're doing, we're side by side and helping them build that plan. So it is academic, it is the classes, and we are helping them navigate prerequisites, right? Be sure to take your stats, be sure to get into the research class. But it's also, what are the extracurricular activities? What are the adjacent experiences that are going to really enrich that journey for them? And so that's what we do. We also provide tools and support as coaches. How do you study for that exam? How do you approach this biology lab? How might you rethink that particular writing assignment since it's a creative assignment? How can you navigate your time? If you're a theater student and you have a lot of crew hours, how do we make sure that you have enough time to work on that set this week? Because we know that matters to you. And so that's an exciting opportunity because they're driving headlong into their future, and it's an amazing future because we see them their freshman year, and then overnight we see them in the coffee shop, and it's a completely different conversation, and it's amazing. And I think Kendall alluded to some of those stories as well. So specifically in the ways that we do that, if we look at this next slide here, the way that we work together is to explore what matters to them. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of them, they just want to help people. And so they might value helping, they might value social justice, they might be motivated by creativity. And so if we can identify what it is that lights them up, what is it that ignites them, then that makes that goal possible, it makes it reachable, it makes it exciting. And we work on what those steps are to realize that goal. Now, part of that is naturally working on balance and identifying that they've not been to this university before, and in many cases, a university. So how do you balance your time? How do you make sure that you have enough time to be a student and an athlete? How do you make sure that you have enough time to be in theater and also work on that math assignment perhaps, right? So in an effort to help them be present academically, we work with them on basic study skills and time management as well. And quite often they come in with a tremendous amount of skill sets, but generally there's one that they need to work on, and we work with them to identify what is that. Is it writing? Is it math? Is it again, time management perhaps? Is it communication, right? Are they hesitant to speak with a professor? Maybe we can give them some talking points on how to do that. So ultimately, we have these conversations, we build plans, we set goals, and at the end of the day, that's momentum, right? And when we have that kind of momentum, it's really hard to stop a student. They're going and they're moving very quickly towards their goals. And again, it's pretty amazing to see. So in terms of how those specific plans might look, I'm going to hand it off to my fantastic colleague, Kelsey, who's going to give you some more information on that.
Thank you, Roel. I appreciate it. So my name is Kelsey Samsel, and I am also an associate director and success coach, and we are so excited to have you here today. I think one of the key roles of a success coach is really to assist students in making connections. And so it's not only connections to campus or connections to other students, but it's also to anything that we provide on the Hilltop community as far as resources and faculty. Our faculty are experts in their field, and the way that I always explain a success team to a student is you have yourself, the student, and you have me, your success coach, and then we're going to add a faculty member to that team. And so you can have these deeper conversations with them, and they can provide the mentorships because they are truly experts in their field. And so we want to assist them in making that connection with their faculty. You know, sometimes students are really nervous to talk with faculty. And so we often say, you know what, let me help you write that email, or let me go with you. You know what, I'm going to this professor's office anyway, why don't you come with me and we'll do this together, so that we can help the students to start those conversations. And often the very first question I even ask a student when they come into my office, I'm like, have you talked to your faculty yet? Let's do that first with these questions. So they are incredibly connected to our campus community, and they do provide amazing mentorship and work really closely inside and outside the classroom with our students. Other academic resources that we offer that allow students to find the help that they need besides ourselves. We also have amazing tutoring on our campus, and that can be whether it's a supplemental instruction session or a peer-to-peer tutoring. Excuse me. This can be for students who are struggling in classes or who just want to make that difference in their grade between, you know, an A and a B. But connection for us isn't just about academics. It is about all other resources on our campus. So that includes our career and professional development office. We encourage our students to stop by there even in their first year, where they can help, our career and professional development office can help with resume building, or start the mock interview process, but also just for students to start exploring those career options, or maybe even major options. And what can I do with this type of major should I decide to pursue it? But we encourage them to do that because it also allows them to see what other resources are available to them on our campus. The same thing would apply apply to a study abroad. So when study abroad programming does resume on our campus, we want to make sure that we continue to use the school tuition model and the course equivalency guides that we already have in place in a database, so that the experience for our Hilltoppers who are wanting to study abroad is very smooth and seamless. For our students who may need accommodations related to the classroom, our Student Disability Services is a fantastic option, and we encourage our students to contact the SDS prior to or as early in the semester as possible so that we can go ahead and get them set up with accommodations. There are a myriad of resources for students to connect to, and we encourage to take advantage of all of them throughout their time in the Hilltop. And should a student have any question about what they may need or how we can help them, we always encourage them to reach out to their success coach. And with so many options and pathways that we offer, I'd love to share another way of looking at this journey on the next slide. This is a major guide, and major guides help me as a success coach to have conversations and to help your student visualize what their journey and what their time on the Hilltop can look like from start to finish. So what this guide does is lay out a potential pathway of your students' years ahead. These major guides can be found on the website in which for your intended major, and you can see this guide is for a video game development major. In the first row, you can see a few of the courses that a student can look forward to and get excited about. Typically, these are intro-based courses, and for this student in particular, history of video games or game animation is something that they can absolutely look forward to, and a lot of our students do because they're very exciting. The after graduation column is a really cool way for students to look into the future and see where they could go, and include that in the conversations with either their success coach and or their faculty advisor. And this includes anything from graduate programs to potential employers. And this checklist this guide isn't a checklist. It's really just a personalized and individualized plan that we can use to help your student to do what they want to do and pursue the things that they want to do. As we move on to the next slide, you can see that in the first year, students can utilize this tool to set smaller goals and that are relevant to their interests and passion. And for example, they may want to attend a conference, whether that be something like ACL or South by Southwest, to better understand the industry and opportunities that are available to them, including volunteer opportunities that align with their either professional or personal interests. You'll also notice that creating a profile on Hilltop Careers is on this list, and we encourage students to do that as early as possible. It's incredibly helpful in getting our students connected with our career and professional development office. Once they do this, our career and professional development team can help them on their journey. So next, I'm going to hand it off to Jason, our Director of Career and Professional Development, who's going to discuss how they work with students in and on the Hilltop.